Hello, everybody, and welcome to an all-new BroDown. I'm your host, Mac Davis, and with me each and every week, we had actually a special guest in here this week.
Mac, I got to interrupt you because you're talking through the computer. You're not talking through your mic.
Well, that's not good. It's better than talking out my ass, though, I
guess. Yeah, just go to your settings.
All right, how about now?
I don't think you're there yet. Hit your mic, Mac. Hit your mic. No.
Actually, it shows. Yeah, that's me.
I'm not hearing that.
I'm not hearing it either.
Now there's no audio, Mac. Oh my God, Dutch, what's going on, old friend? We are live, Dutch. Look at him. Look at Dutch. Mac, are you back? Mac, you back?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, talk to me a little.
Hello, 1, 2. Can you hear this?
I can hear it fine. It's to me.
All right, go ahead, Mac. Start over. Everybody, forget the last minute 12. Go ahead, Mac. Take it away. Now we got nothing, Mac. We got no audio, Mac.
No, nothing. Yeah.
Try that. Does that sound better?
Yeah, that sounds much better. Yes.
There we go. Yeah, it was a new plug that I had to get on the computer today, and obviously it doesn't work too
well. Now you are on your mic, Mac. Go ahead, Mac. Start over. Everybody, the last minute 40, forget about it. Wipe it out of your memory. Forget it. Go, Mac.
It's going. Hello, everybody, and welcome to BroDown. I'm your host, Mac Davis, along with the most hated man in professional wrestling.
They hate Dutch. They hate Dutch? Who hates Dutch, man? Everybody loves Dutch. What are you insulting Dutch for?
I'm giving me shit.
How can he do that?
Dutch is the most lovable man on the planet, Mac. What are you doing? Look at him, man.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Dutch Mantell on the show, and it's about time we got you back here on Sports Key to Dutch. You've been gone for quite some time, and I got to be honest with you, it is so good to see you back.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm going to say something right now. You know what the doctor gave me when I first went to the hospital? He gave me a 50-50 chance.
Wow.
Of beating it. And I was so out of it. You know, I heard him, but I didn't hear him. You know, if I'd have heard 50-50, if I was kind of straight and okay, it would have scared me. It didn't even scare me. I kind of laughed. I thought it was funny. And there's a whole week there when I first started they did a blood transfusion on me. I didn't even know it. They told me later. I don't remember that. And it was a whole week that it is erased. It's just gone. I don't know, because I can remember nothing. I just assumed I was in the hospital later on, but I can't remember anything.
Well, that kind of problem may be good, Dutch, because tonight you may not want to remember tonight's show of SmackDown. You know,
I may bring it back. Yeah, don't let me remember this.
Well,
and then I come back, and guess what?
What?
They tell me, hey, guess what, Dutch? I said, what? You're doing a show with Vince Russo. I said, oh my God, this is way out there. I'm in another dimension now.
Listen, Dutch knows I love Dutch. I talk about Dutch to this day. Obviously, the doctor who gave him 50-50 didn't see old footage of Dutch in his prime, obviously. So after hearing that story, Mac, do you want to apologize to Dutch for calling him the most hated man in the business, please?
Well, I would, but I was talking about you. Quite honestly.
Okay. Well, that's okay then, as long as we're not talking about Dutch, man.
You know, it's hard to put over somebody who was once a WCW champion that has arms the size of a noodle. Vince, let's talk about tonight. And Dutch, man, this is going to be interesting to hear you two guys go at it.
I got to say this to Dutch, though. Over the years, I swear to God, Dutch, if I paid you for every time I used your term, and Dutch, every time I use it, I give you credit. Every single time I say, in the words of the great Dutch Mantell, I would owe you $10 million. Guess what the phrase is, Dutch, that I always use and I always bring you up I'd say at least 3 times a week.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I just told myself, I said, I can't remember nothing. So tell me what I said that you remember one time.
My favorite saying of all time with Dutch. Ready, Dutch? Good little hand. Good little hand, Dutch. Good little hand. I love my other favorite, Dutch, was the angle's already shot. Remember that, Dutch? The angle's already shot. How many times did you say that in creative meetings?
Several times. Several. I do remember that now.
And I want to say one other thing while Dutch is on it. Dutch is frozen. I got to say one other thing. I got to say one because Dutch gets zero credit for this. Zero credit for this. And I tell everybody this. You know, bro, remember Stephanie McMahon came along, Mac, the women's revolution, this, that, and the other thing. Bullshit. Because 10, 15 years earlier, there was a thing called the TNA Knockouts. And we had the greatest female talent ever assembled on a wrestling roster. That was all freaking Dutch. Every bit of it. I tell everybody that. So as Stephanie McMahon came, Johnny come lately, 20 years later, she's starting a women's revolution. You could ask any one of those knockouts, Kong, Gail Kim, the beautiful, ask any one of them, and they'll tell you Dutch was responsible and behind all of that with all the women in wrestling.
And Dutch, we do have Awesome Sauce that donated $2 and says, love you, Dutch, but the Lorax wants his mustache back.
Well, again, I'm going to go back to my loss of memory. Who in the hell is a Lorax?
Isn't that one of the Dr. Seuss characters?
Yeah, he's a Dr. Seuss character with a
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he can't have it back, by God. I put too much time and effort in this thing. And I actually trimmed it up a little bit today, so...
Look at him.
But anyway, talking about the knockouts, brother, we did a hell of a rating that time. Remember, we did with Gail and Kong. We did a record, a 3.4. If it went to a 3.5, we'd have had a 4 rating.
Yep.
And that back in the day was unbelievable. Remember, Dixie used to say she used to pull out the paper like she was going to read the ratings.
Yep.
We never got one rating. I never got one rating. You know, if they're worried about somebody getting into the federal government's business, give something to Dixie Carter to keep because she always put it in her safe, right?
Yes.
And nobody ever got in that damn safe because you don't know. She said, well, it was up 10% from last month. Hell, I didn't know what last month was. It could have been 100 views.
Yep.
So we had 110. It'd be up 10%. We never got it. So there was a lot of things when I was in TNA I never got. And then after a while, I didn't even ask because I didn't care.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, guys,
I really did.
We got to jump into BroDown here so we can talk a little bit about SmackDown because we got till midnight. So we got to make sure we get this in. I do want to mention that The Rock started off the show basically with a little look back at what happened last week and his rambling promo of I want your soul and become my champion. And he wants Cody's answer by Elimination Chamber. Cody then gets approached backstage by 2 guys who escort him to his locker room, courtesy of the boss. Vince, what were your thoughts of that piece right there?
Well, I gotta say this, Mac. You know, they've done a good job. Here's my problem. They've done a good job in setting this up. And they did a good job in this and carrying this story throughout the entire show because, you know, Mac, I'm always complaining about that. You know, they have the main talent on at the beginning of the show. Then you never see them for the next 2 hours and 45 minutes, which to me is always ridiculous. But here's the one trouble spot I'm having with this whole story. And I think Dutch would agree going way back when Dutch was first starting in the business. The problem I'm having with this, Dutch, please correct me if I'm wrong. If you are the WWE champion, Dutch, right? Shouldn't you already have everything? That's the whole point of wanting to be the champion. You already have everything. When Hulk Hogan was a champion, he already had everything. Cody's got everything. Cody's got money. Cody's got a bus. Cody's got a beautiful wife. Cody wears beautiful suits. Cody has money. And to me, Dutch, when Rock, comes along and it's the old, oh, I can give you everything you want. You can have this, you can have that. I kind of feel like they're downgrading that the guy is already the WWE champion. The WWE champion should already have all those things, right, Dutch?
Well, I think they're saying he has that already, but The Rock can give him more. That's what they're saying. The Rock can give him anything. He said anything you can envision, you can have. So now they're testing Cody to see if he's a greedy bastard and see if he really wants more. But that really intrigued me. I said, okay, I know now there's something big is coming. I don't care what it is, as long as, they tell that story. And I'm agreeing with Vince on this, that they have done a great job of enhancing this story, bringing it along, and everybody knows that somewhere down the line, The Rock's going to put the big screw to him, and then we'll be off. And I hear their business is like off the wall. I mean, they're selling out everywhere. They're doing good ratings, and so as long as they continue this story, and that's my problem with wrestling, modern day wrestling, is they didn't tell the story. But in this case, they are telling the story, and they're going from week to week to week. I think they're balancing it out. They're spacing it out. And I think they're right on time with it. I think they're doing a good job. Now, the rest of the show, it's a filler show anyway to get us to tomorrow night. And they did a pretty good job. Some of the actual work in the ring, I might have some doubts about, but hey, wrestling fans, hell, they can put up with everything. They have gone through everything, but in seeing this now, everybody's attention is on Cody and it's on The Rock. That's where it should be.
Dutch, I know that you mentioned that I'm getting the idea that maybe you pretty much like the shows that have been taking place lately on SmackDown. Would that be a fair assumption? Or going back 2 months, yeah, because I didn't even know what wrestling. When I was in the hospital, I didn't even know what wrestling. Guess what? I didn't give a crap. Yeah. I didn't care. But up to, I think WWE is doing a really, really good job. And I'll go back to what I said a while ago. It's all story. Once you get to you got to tell the story. And they are telling the story and bringing us right along. Vince, used to be sometimes. Go ahead. Vince, do you feel that they're telling a good story?
I feel it's very rushed. Elimination Chamber is tomorrow. I mean, if it were me, I think this story should have had more of a build than that. So it's really rushed. And, they're trying, what story is trying to sell? Somebody's going to sell their soul. I mean, that, and they're making us guess, who is it going to be? It's the old whodunit, Mac. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I really do feel like the story is being rushed. I wish they would have started telling this story 3 months ago and carried it through Mania. It just feels like they're trying to get so much in like just a couple of weeks when this should have been spread out over some time.
Brian Wilkins with the $2 donation saying Strowman must have pissed somebody
$2?
Off.
Come on, people, $2. What are you in a wrestling bus? Come on, you can go 5. Come on, guys, come on.
All right, we do get some Stratusfaction. Trish Stratus comes out to the ring and actually says to a little girl, my favorite line of the night, and she looks at this little girl, and Trish says, quite possibly your dad had a poster of me on his wall. I love that because it was probably true. She is joined then by Tiffany Stratton, the WWE Women's Champion, and Trishy time, Tiffy time. Oh man, Vince, this promo was rough for me.
Yeah, I said Tiffy time, Trishy time, corny time. Yeah, you know, Mac, again, we talk about this a lot. This segment.
What do you say? Corny time?
Corny time, yeah.
Wait a minute. Cornette's going to hear this, and he's going to say that you try to diss him from a distance.
Oh, I love Jim Cornette. Dutch, come on, man. You know
he loves you too. He told me that one time.
I love him very much. But Mac, you know, we talk about this all the time. Mac, this is for the house. Trish is from Toronto. Like, this is for, they're wearing a Toronto. And I say this all the time, bro. There are two different things going on here. If you're in the house, it's a great show. Oh my God, I'm in Toronto. Trish Stratus is here. They're wearing Toronto Maple Leaf jerseys. Great. If you're the guy watching in New York, you don't give a shit about any of that. You don't care. And there was a lot on this show, once again, that was done for the house. I just think that stuff that's done for the house does not play well on TV.
I agree. I totally agree. This comment from Jesus, Lord, or Jesus, Lord, whatever. Got to say, this show still misses Roman Reigns. And that is something that, I wrote a note about later on, actually, but I'll bring it up now. There is no Roman Reigns, no sign of Roman Reigns. Is that unusual going into WrestleMania, Dutch?
Well, is he?
Uh-oh.
Wait a minute. You broke up on me.
You're back.
What is it? Well, I heard part of the card tonight. This is the first time I've heard it. Roman's not even on it.
No, sir. No, not at all. And that seems strange to me going into WrestleMania.
Yeah, but what is he doing on this show? Because
absolutely nothing.
It's not like a 3-hour show. They don't have time for him.
True. Very true.
No, they could have thrown something with Roman in. It says, hey, anything can happen at any time. It's a new day. And even if he's not there, still he puts it out that he could be, and it keeps his name circulating.
That's and he is a star factor for that show. They need that star power, don't they, Vince?
Yeah, well, Dutch will tell you, man, the way wrestling works, out of sight, out of mind. I mean, that's just the way it works. Mac, how many weeks have we not seen Roman now?
Yeah, or John Cena. The one that's supposed to be back full time. I still don't see John Cena.
Yeah.
What did you think about Mount Me Piper Niven, or the Mountie Piper Niven?
I love that.
Yeah. I love that package is great.
I love those two together.
Yeah.
One's stupid, and the other's like a little heavy. I'm not saying fat, but she's a little heavy. But she's good, and they are great together. And put them together, I think that was one of their better moves, putting those two together.
But, Dutch, I'm glad you're here, man, because so much, Mac, I swear, I got to tell you, so much I learned from Dutch just sitting there next to him week after week after week after week. And Dutch will tell you, man, you go back to Dutch's very first match. Mac, we talk about this. You are a worker.
Yes.
Heat on the heels, especially heat going into the big show. And Dutch, what did we have here in the first segment? They're going into a tag match tomorrow. And Dutch, we had the baby faces up. We didn't have any heat on the heels going into the big show. Dutch, we're talking about a guy like Triple H that was, obviously trained by Kowalski. Dutch, what happened to the old school of heat? Because you want to see the payoff of the baby faces getting their comeuppance. Why would you have the baby faces up at the end of this segment, Dutch?
Somebody called it, maybe. They said, hey, let's put the good guys over. That's probably what I figured. No, but I think we want to see those two together, and who knows? But I don't think fans really sit back and really, really analyze these shows. They do, but it's just like an offhand. I don't know why they did this. That's why they listen to us, I guess. Hell, if we don't know, they don't know. So, but you can almost do anything as long as you have that heat or that. And there's really no heat on Cody and Rock. Everybody knows something is going to happen, and we can't lean one way or that way. That's the beauty of wrestling.
Yeah.
Final boss engaged. $5. I'm sorry, $5.
Yeah, he wants his soul.
Boss engaged.
That's what got me. I want your soul. I said, whoa, wait a minute. I don't think I've ever heard in wrestling in 50 some odd years, I want your soul. I've never heard that before. That's new for me. Oh, now that got my attention. He wants his soul. How's he going to get it? So
it confused a lot of people last week, though.
I am fan enough to say, okay, you got me. I want to see what kind of soul he.
All right, here we go. Final boss engaged, $5 donation. Forget SmackDown.
So
let's have live story time with Dutch. Shoot on the 70s and 80s with Macho Man. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see what else we got here. We do have SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, who announces a tournament to name the #1 contender for the Men's U.S. Championship. And the new bloodline also meets in the back, and Solo Sikoa tells Jacob Fatu he loves him. I know that's your favorite part of the show, Vince.
Yeah. My pet peeve is wrestlers telling each other they love each other. I can't handle that. But I will say this, Mac, because we beat this thing up every week. At least with this and all this making this announcement, at least we kind of had a thread and a story throughout the show. And at least there's stakes. There's stakes. There's something on the line. We don't get enough stakes in wrestling anymore. So at least this is built. We got 3 matches. The winner of those 3 matches is going to go into a triple threat. They're going to be the #1 contender for Nakamura. So at least there was a little story here that played throughout the show, and there were some stakes to it.
Dutch, what did you think about that part of the show?
Well, I don't know if there's some steaks to it. Probably some pork chops. Steaks. I don't know if we're going to go that high. But they are giving everybody a piece of it and putting a little bit of an edge, just even though it's not physical on everything. But they're giving everybody an edge, and they're giving everybody something to think about. When somebody goes in the ring in a wrestling crowd now, you got 2 guys. Hey, I'll tell you, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. Well, they say, how you know? They say, well, hell, we watch damn Dutch and Vince all the time, and they don't know. Nobody knows. So, but they have my attention on a lot of this stuff, even though I may not even have liked it. But there's still just a little bit of an edge that's making me think.
Vince, let me ask you, should Jacob Fatu, who is looking like he should be a monster when he's in the ring, boy, he really gave a lot in that match. Did he give too much? Did he lose some of the – because he looked weaker. Dutch, are you holding your hand up? Go ahead.
I think that they damn near halfway killed him off.
Yes.
I thought. He's supposed to be a killer.
Correct.
And if they see him a time or two that he can be overcome, or he can just be on the downside for like 30 seconds, that's his magic. His magic is, he's halfway nuts, and he plays a great job of doing that. But now he's getting in the ring, and he's outside the ring, and he's going over the top rope, and he's doing this and he's doing that. Well, that's his whole spiel anyway, is that you just can't get him down, and he just beats your ass up. So I didn't care for that at all. I think they should have. I don't know who put that match together, but I don't think he looked strong enough in it, even though there was three guys in it.
I totally agree. In fact, I got a message from Bill Apter from Sports Kid as well. And Bill Apter was fussing about the very same thing, saying, what are they doing to Fatu? Here's this monster and you're killing the monster off. And it goes back to a writer like you, Vince, who that kills your character that you're writing for.
Yeah, I mean, but Mac, that's been their style, man. It's just been the 50-50 booking. And I mean, that's just the way everything's getting laid out these days, man. And that's really hindering people from getting over. And, yes. People want to get behind him. And I mean, obviously he's got the look. He can cut the promo. Yep. But once he steps in the ring and he's going 50-50 with Andrade, he loses a little something, man. He just does.
And I always say that when you do a match that's 50-50 booking, it's like driving a car in neutral. It doesn't go anywhere. Right. And it's the same thing in 50-50 booking. Yep. Let's see. Villain Squared Circle Oracle with a $5 donation. And you may have to help me with this, guys. Coincidence that there's a soul auction going on and Travis Scott shows up, Astro World, and yeeting blunts and around kids and bad music. Yikes. Mountie, Niven.
I'm gonna ask a question. Travis Scott. Okay, catch me up on him.
I wish I could.
He's a real
Who is he?
Well, he's a real over rapper. He's a rapper that the kids love. And was he
the one at the Super Bowl?
No, that was a different one. That was
Okay.
That was Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, that was a different one. Yeah. But and
Travis Scott does what?
Well, he's a rapper, and there was a big concert at Astro World in Houston. That's what they're referring to. And a lot of kids got killed because, people were rushing the stage and that type of thing. And a lot of kids got killed at the concert. That's what that
okay, what's the comment about Travis Scott and who even mentioned his name?
Even before this one, the comment.
Triple H said he was going to see Travis Scott at the chamber. Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess your point being, I was about to say that's your point, Dutch, is that most people are going, huh? How many people actually care? Let's see. Brian Wilkins with the $5 donation. I think that The Rock putting Dusty's death date on the strap was unnecessary. What say you, Vince?
I didn't even realize that. Did he say that?
Yeah, he pointed it out to Cody. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, yeah. It was
beautiful roads, good roads.
Yeah.
Dusty roads. And now when everybody realized that, I thought about, I wasn't even thinking he would go there, but he did. So.
Yeah.
I don't mind when they do that. I like that because it makes it more realistic for me. When you start, hitting on certain nerves that even the casual fan knows about, it makes it more interesting for me. Nick Aldis and the Street Profits were backstage. They get interrupted by Los Garza and Escobar. We have a match in the Street Profits versus Los Garza. But before the match starts, they get attacked by Pretty Deadly, who's then joined by the Machine Guns. And security comes out, which security doesn't seem to be able to do shit with anybody. And it's time to, do something when it comes to the security force in WWE, because this bit went on too long and the security was totally ineffective.
They run out there and but they stand back like this.
Yes, only waiting for somebody to catch. That's one thing I noticed. Yeah. They were right on spot when it was time to catch somebody, but the rest of the time they were just surrounding the ring.
They got the guy out like this, but looking around behind him like, what am I going to do? Why even have security if they're going to do that?
Yeah, Vince,
I don't know.
Would that drive you nuts?
There's a lot of things. There's so many little things like that. I mean,
hey, what's wrong with you? You know what's wrong with you two guys?
What's
you
that?
Guys are just picking it apart. You just can't let.
That's what we get paid the big bucks for.
You can't let it go and let it play out. So. But go ahead. I
want to see if Dutch picks this apart because Dutch is walking off. Dutch, one of the greatest heels in the history of the business. Yeah. And I want to see if this picks Dutch apart because this drives me crazy. Okay. Dutch, back in my day, when we had real managers like Freddie Blassie and Lou Albano and the Grand Wizard, Dutch, this drives me crazy. And you taught heels how to be heels. If this doesn't drive you crazy, Dutch, I'm walking off the show.
I don't do that.
Okay. Dutch, what did managers always do? They cheated and got involved in matches when the referee wasn't looking. Lou Albano would pick his spot. Freddie Blassie would pick their spot. The heel would draw the referee. Dutch has done this a million times. The heel would draw the referee, and Blassie would get in there with his cane and start choking the guy out. Dutch, what they do now is the heel interferes in the match right in front of the referee. The referee sees it and does nothing. Doesn't send the guy to the back. Does absolutely nothing. It's things like that, Dutch, that drive me freaking nuts. Am I right about that?
No, you are right about that because, I mean, the art has been lost.
Yes. Thank you.
Somewhere, some way along the way, that these things just fell by the wayside.
Yes.
Nobody even thinks about whether if I can take a match, even though they're doing a lot of wrestling, if it kind of makes sense. But some of these guys, it looks like a tumbling match sometimes. Of course, what Vince is talking about looks like a tumbling match, a tumbling exhibition, because it damn sure don't look like you would. I used to hear this. Would you do that in a real fight?
Right.
I said, no, I'd probably be getting the dog shit beat out of.
There is a point you froze up on us there, Dutch.
And trying to run, but they're doing all this and that and the other. It is crazy as hell. And I agree with Vince that the basic art of wrestling has been lost. Now we got to consider. Now they had 3 hours to fill. 3 hours is a lot of wrestling to televise.
Yeah,
and you can't.
That's not my fault as a viewer, though.
No, it's not my butt. And it goes on to 11 o'clock. So Friday night, you could probably get by with it. But I don't know. The business has changed so much now, but you need that massive angle still to draw people to watch that pay-per-view. And I don't know if they have it, but I think The Rock being back, just go back to this show, The Rock being back and Cody, and Vince was right. They have kind of drug out this story. And I don't think they could have made it any slower, but they're pacing it out and they're trying to take it to WrestleMania, a version of it or a part of it. And I think they'll be successful. I think they'll be successful tomorrow night. And I think they'll be really, really successful at WrestleMania.
I do want to mention too, Vince, you were talking about the referee and seeing things happen in full view. When it was during the match, Braun Strowman and is it Carmelo Hayes? I think it was Carmelo.
Yeah.
And
I was going to bring this up.
They did the Eddie Guerrero spot. Now, he DQs the match because he sees the chair. At the same time, he saw the interference from outside and he's telling him to quit. He could have DQ'd then. Is that not a perfect example of what you were just talking about?
Well, it's also this, and this is my problem with wrestling. They're changing the wrong things. And the things they need to change, they're not changing. Because what Mac do they have in every single sport now? What do they have in every sport? They got replay. They got replay in the NFL. They got replay in Major League Baseball. They got replay. WWE, this is 2025. Institute the replay. In a situation like this, you look so archaic, and Dutch will tell you the heat doesn't go to Carmelo Hayes. The heat goes to the referee for being a freaking moron. That's where the heat goes. Institute the replay. So they get away from all the things that worked, and the things, to move the business along, they totally ignore. That would have been a perfect time to use it, Mac.
And it goes back to what you just said, Dutch. It's the fact that today's wrestling is more exhibition than it is competition. And when it comes across that way, I could just watch the Olympics and watch, the floor pieces that the girls do, flipping and flopping everywhere. It's another issue with today's wrestling. And I don't mean to be just banging on today's wrestling, but when you see women constantly doing flips and cartwheels and things, you would never in a real fight see a girl do a cartwheel to go hit some other girl. That doesn't happen. Instead, we are made to believe that it's okay to do these things, and the person on the other end is supposed to just sit there and wait for the impact. It doesn't happen that way.
Mac, I'm not going to let you sit there and insult the great Dutch Mantell again, because Dutch used to tell Awesome Kong directly, I want you to do a cartwheel halfway across the ring and kick Gail Kim in the face. He used to. I heard him give those directions to Awesome Kong. Dutch, am I right? Did you not make Awesome Kong do cartwheels?
Made her do a cartwheel.
Yeah. Did you not?
I did. No.
Okay. All right. It must have been.
I never told her to do a cartwheel. I told her to go out there. I told her to go out there and beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I was watching those people, and they were believing Kong.
Absolutely.
You see this big 300-pound, and she looked like she could kill you.
Absolutely.
She did.
Yep.
And I said, do as least as possible. Just beat them up. That's all you got to do. And and I told her, do not, whatever you do not go off your feet.
I knew he was going to say
because
that.
some of those guys were talking like, oh, man, you could do this and do this and do this. And oh, you should take a big bump. I said, nope.
Yep.
You can do all that stuff, but she's not leaving her feet. And she got over.
Yep.
She got over big time because she listened. Now, her matches weren't long. They didn't have to be long.
Yeah.
But, people that looked at her, my sister, I may have told this story before. My sister's not a wrestling fan, and she passed away 2 years ago, but I'll tell you her name was Judy. She wasn't a wrestling fan, but she knew I was working for TNA with the Knockouts. And I told her about this girl, and she said, well, I want to see her. I told her about Kong. So she would sit down, and they say, Kong's coming up. She would go in and get her a cup of coffee. She would sit down on the couch and watch Kong's match. And when Kong's matches was over, she'd get up and leave. They said, her grandsons would say, where you going, Grandma? She said, oh, I'm done watching. I just wanted to see her. That was the only thing she would watch in the show because she enjoyed that.
Well, because you made her special, Dutch. You made her special. She was special.
Well, you also kept her believable, and that's also important. It got to be believable, and she was believable. Cliffside with the $2 donation, and what's the most logical finish for the chamber matches? I was going to ask that at the end of the show, but I'll ask it now since Cliffside donated some money in here. Vince, what do you think the most logical finish is?
It's not what I think. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen tomorrow night. Cody obviously is going to turn down The Rock. The Rock is going to get involved in the finish of the match because Cody's going to turn him down. And the corporate champion is going to be Drew McIntyre. That's going to be Rock's guy. That's the perfect guy. Cut his hair, shave his beard, put him in a suit, put The Rock with him. And I believe that's what's going to happen tomorrow night.
What do you think about the female side of things in the chamber match?
Oh God, who's in that thing?
Let's see. Let me. I can give it to you here because we've been bouncing all over the place, but I do want to give these out. We have Naomi.
Fabulous. I'd bring the Moolah back and put her over. That's what I do. Nobody sees that coming at all, and that would actually surprise me.
Dutch, do you know, Dutch? Sports Illustrated just did a poll of the top greatest women wrestlers of all time. Moolah was not on that list, Dutch.
What?
She was not on that list. Can you imagine? Sherry Martel was not on that list.
Wow.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
She was one of my favorite female stars of her time, really. Especially when she got involved with Harlem Heat. Man, she elevated Harlem Heat because of her presence in that group. Yeah. The women's elimination chamber match, by the way, the participants are Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Bayley and Roxanne Perez,
Yeah.
and the winner would face Rhea Ripley. So, any ideas?
You got to give Alexa Bliss that win. You got to give
Bliss.
Alexa Bliss that win, I think. Yeah.
What about you, Dutch? What do you think?
Hang on a second.
Okay.
You're screaming.
And let's see.
No,
Wow.
I'm talking to my daughter.
Oh,
She
okay.
runs everything, so I'll be right back, guys.
All right. Let's see. Also, Awesome Sauce with the $2 donation.
Yeah.
No Wendy Richter on the SI
not.
list.
He was not on that list either. Medusa made the list, Mac, at number 10. At number 10, Medusa,
Really?
number 10. Can you? They didn't see what we saw. They didn't watch what we watched. Obviously, yeah.
All right, Dutch. What do you think?
Who made number 10?
Medusa. Medusa was
Mhm.
number 10 on the list.
Who was number 1?
Becky Lynch.
She hasn't even been in wrestling for how long now?
China was like number 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Roland Curtis off Vermont Avenue, a $20 donation. Thank you, buddy. Austin is number 1
See,
all
just
time in
take-
merchandise.
You know how you get people to donate?
How's it?
Begging. Let's just start
Please.
begging. Please,
Please.
send some money. Please. Okay, go ahead.
Austin is number 1 all time in merch, ticket sales, pay-per-view buys, cable TV ratings. Vince says he and older guys believe Hogan is the GOAT. Vince is 64, Dutch is 75, Teddy Long is 77, yet Dutch and Teddy have Austin as the GOAT. Why do you disagree?
Mac, let me just give you a little background on this. Roland has spent hundreds of dollars trying to
convince
me that Austin was the GOAT and not Hulk Hogan. And
I think he was the GOAT.
Hogan.
Still.
There you go. Roland, there
No,
you go.
well, see, I think he was the GOAT. Now, no doubt, Hulk drew a lot of money, and he did a lot of sellouts. But I think the people, if you ask them today, I think Steve did a hell of a job and may not have drawn the money that Hulk drew, but he got the attention. Now, Hogan he just had great heels around him.
That's true.
Not necessarily great heels, but I mean, monster heels. He took on the monster. But Steve, he took on the heels that were, Steve was the draw in that. So that to me, Steve took on lesser heels and drew the same sellout. So that's just a difference of opinion. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it all depends on generations, what you grew up with, and who you watch is who you consider to be the number 1 guy up on that Mount Rushmore. But I think overall in the history of professional wrestling, Hulk Hogan would have to be the main guy on Mount Rushmore. And I also think that Ric Flair belongs there too. Love him or hate him, he's one of the real champions that traveled all over the place to carry that championship for the NWA. So it's hard to say that he's not on that Mount Rushmore as well. Guys, we're about to run out of time. So if you got any quick questions you want to pop in here, just make a donation.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore?
My Mount Rushmore would be Hogan, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Steve Austin. That would be my 3. But now I grew up in the South, so mine's going to be a little bit different than a lot of other people. Let's see. We have Roland Curtis saying Dutch. Are you saying Hogan?
Mine would have been Jackie Fargo, Jerry Jarrett.
Dutch, Roland wants to know, are you saying if Hogan is the GOAT or if Austin is the GOAT? Which one is it?
No, I think Austin's the GOAT.
You think Austin
is the
GOAT?
He would be on my Mount Rushmore. And I don't know if Hogan would be on it, but he wouldn't be the number 1. I think Austin would be number 1. Rock would be number 2. What I'm saying.
What about Togo? What about Togo, Dutch?
He's like a little inscription. He's like a little statue down below the top 4, and he's right there. And he said, "Oh yeah, I hate you."
But let me ask you.
Now, years ago, I'm telling somebody. Years ago, due to World War II and, wrestling first appeared on TV in the 50s, you didn't have to have a gimmick. I mean, if two Japanese guys walked out of there, they are automatically the heels. Yeah. Automatically, or two German, we hated them. And they didn't have to go on there. They just go on there just do regular interviews, and people still hated them. But their work was already done. So that's where you could, just do a little bit of a screw job, like Vince said. The place would go into a riot.
Yeah.
But it was just different days. I mean, I don't know. It was just a different time, a different era.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce with the $2 donation. Toots Mant is the GOAT.
Tootsman is he's on my Mount Rushmore. Tootsman. Yes.
Okay. Who is Tootsman? Who is he?
Tootsman.
I've heard his name for years.
Oh my God. He was like
New York guy.
Yeah. Way back in like the 50s. Tootsman.
Yeah.
Quentin Lassiter saying Doink the Clown, Brooklyn Brawler, Hornswoggle, and Santino Marella in the Mount Rushmore.
There you go.
All right. Let's see. Real quick, before we get out of here, Vince, let me ask you, when it comes to the end of the show with Cody Rhodes and The Rock and the whole video package that closed the show out, what were your thoughts? Did it make you want to see any more?
Mac, I'm going to be honest with you, but listen, you're talking to me now. I have no interest in watching the Elimination Chamber whatsoever tomorrow. I will not be watching. Mac, I only watch wrestling shows I get paid to watch. But I am going to agree with Dutch 1,000%. The average fan, I think they have interested. I think they have the average fan interested, and I think they did their job in watching that last segment, getting people interested in watching what happens. I agree with Dutch on that 100%.
Dutch, what do you think about the end of the show and how they closed it out?
Oh, I thought they wrapped it up, because that was the main thing. They opened with it and kind of followed the thread through it at the end. And I think The Rock coming back on, and all the fans are thinking right now, I don't know what's going to happen. They don't know what's going to happen, but they want to watch it just to see. Hey, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, good interview. They did a good job with Kevin Owens, because the way they did the interviews with him, he's kind of away, and, they were doing it in the car for a while. And I think they did a really good job, and they're making him different just by doing that. Yeah. And they will have a good match. So if you really think about the card, I was like looking at the card. It didn't look that impressive till I saw the show. Now I saw the show, and now there's some things I'd be interested in seeing. I think they're going to sell it out again. Sold it out tonight, 14,252. They said that several times. I think they will do a sellout tomorrow, and I think it'll be a good show. And I think they will advance Cody. They treat Cody like a goof sometimes during the show. They catch him just wandering aimlessly around in his suit, carrying that belt. And I'm saying, what does the guy do? He just walks around backstage all night long, carrying the belt, and he's going, yeah. And then when they walk off, he's looking at him. I go, what they're telling? They're telling the story, and then he shows up at the end.
Roland Curtis popping in with another $10 donation. I'm sorry, Dutch, I don't mean to cut you off.
He will pay a fortune, Mac, till he gets his point across. I told you.
Here he goes again. You guys said that Hogan drew more, but the documents online say that the highest profit margin from Hogan from 1984 to 1993 was only $6 million. But Austin's worst year profit from 98 to 2001 was $54 million.
Roland, I'm going to tell you this. Inflation, buddy. It's all inflation. Who was the president? and that's what you got to. But but I think I do think that Steve Austin was much more entertaining. Let me say that. I will say that.
I do have to say this though, Mac, because we kind of been putting over that people are interested. But I got to tell you, I think this is the difference between now and then. I don't think there's one person out there that believes Cody Rhodes is going to sell his soul. And if they did that, though, that would be such a huge swerve and would turn everything upside down. They don't do things like that anymore. I don't think there's one person out there that thinks Cody Rhodes is going to sell out. That's just my opinion.
Guys, we are almost. Go ahead. We're about to run out of time. Go ahead. Oh, he's just pointing to himself.
I do. I think he's sell his soul and he had to turn it all upside down.
Yeah, it would definitely would. It definitely would if they went that way.
And all the Republicans would go nuts. What the hell? He's a devil worshiper, that bastard.
Guys, we've run out of time. Real quick, anything coming up for you, Vince, you want to put over?
Yeah, no, just always, guys, if you want to just sample what I do, you can get a free week from the brand. Just go to patreon.com/Russo TWC. And
you, Dutch, how about anything coming up for you? Or anything you want to push?
Well, I do, but I can't remember the date. I can't remember nothing, really.
Oh, I can't either. I can't remember what I just had for dinner.
Well, I can't either. So, but anyway, I'm doing a signing, the first signing I've done in, I don't know, probably a year or so. And I'm doing it here in Florida, right outside Tampa. And I'll have more news on it. I'll get to, wait a minute, I'm going to be somewhere at some time and I'm going to sign some pictures and stuff if I can. And it's in the afternoon. I know that. So.
And also, I guess it's time for us to end anyhow. I'm seeing news now. NASA is tracking a house-sized asteroid that is set to fly by Earth at over 29,000 miles an hour.
That's it. What'd you say?
That's true.
Oh, I heard
asteroids. They're all about the same.
I thought you said hemorrhoid. I said, damn, that is news.
No. If I was talking about hemorrhoid, I would have been talking about Vince. All right, we are out of time. Guys, I'll see you again next week. I've enjoyed it.
See you guys.
Have a good night.
Take care, Dutch.